This season of my life is called Taking My Own Advice. I'm Best Bet Dan, and I started this channel 5 years ago. Well, maybe 4 years ago, this channel. But either way, it was all about building up an audience and really creating a funnel, a top of the funnel for my coaching business, Best Bet Skills Academy. But life is happening. Life is happening right now, and things are changing, and I'm making pivots. And because of that reason, I'm taking my own advice. What do I mean by that? What do I mean I'm taking my own advice? Well, the reason I started Best Bet Skills Academy is because I believe unequivocally when it comes to some of the best skills to have in the marketplace, it's high impact communication skills. And not just communicating good, but communication skills that generate income, drive revenue, but also create opportunities, right? And so I focused on really tapping in with the age group of, I would say, 15 to about 23, 24. And so building that business was, we had a great time. And I'm still doing it. So it's not over. It's not over. We ain't done. But, just because of the nature and the nuance of the niche, I'm pivoting. I'm going out and I'm doing things a little bit different. Okay. So the past 2 years, I've been really trying to find my sweet spot, and I just haven't been able to build up the interest and get the pipeline going to where I'm like, hey, I got business coming in on a regular basis. And so because of that, I've made all sorts of moves to stay in business, right? So shoot, at one point I was donating, what's the stuff called? Not your blood, the plasma. I done gave plasma. I've done every gig you can do. So between Lyft, Uber, DoorDash, all of those things, to keep things going and keep the doors open. And part of it is I always felt like it would be a sense of failure to go back to a W-2, right? But more recently, I've really been like, hey, you know what? I gotta put these skills to work, and I gotta do it on my own. I gotta take my own advice. So started looking for positions and kind of really opened my mind to getting positions, I would say in September. And I actually connected with a company in Rochester that was local. It was a tech company, and they were doing some tech consulting. And so it looked like I was kind of on a trajectory to start working with them. I was going to start out kind of doing some lead gen and some marketing stuff. And then around January, the plan was for me to come on full time and be doing some sales and account management. But that company hit some hard times. It had some things go the wrong way, went left. And so that opportunity went away. So now I'm like kind of like back at square one. And so, I'm talking to friends and people I know. I'm kind of, hey, I'm in this position, and I think I'm ready and willing to go, into the workforce on the employee side because I need to make something shake. And so I was talking to a good friend of mine that I met through my men's Bible study, the Link Up. Shout out to the Link Up. And so my friend Chris, he was actually I want to say around August, September, there were a couple companies that were courting him. And so he brought me in on that process, and we were just talking it through. He was looking for some advice, looking for some feedback. So ultimately, I kind of walked with him through his interview process, and he ended up accepting a job with a lease to own company and taking the territory in Atlanta, right? So boom, he got in, got going, and was just really crushing it out of the gate, just having a great time doing this thing. And so I want to say in October, into October, early November, he hit me. He was like, Dan, you can do this. And so he started to break down to me what the day-to-day looked like. He started to break down kind of what the job entailed, how it worked, how he functioned. And he was like, you can without a doubt do this. So I took a step and I applied and went all the way through the interview process, got to my final interview at the beginning of December, killed the final interview, and I'm waiting for an offer, right? So I'm waiting to get an offer because I'm like, hey, at one point, one of actually the gentleman who would have been my supervisor or manager, he was just like, that was hands down one of the best interviews that I've ever had. And so I was super jacked up. I was super pumped. And so that particular position or that interview that I was going to call for relocation, the day I'm supposed to get an offer, they called me like, hey, how would you like to stay in Rochester? So I'm like, wait, what? Stay in Rochester? We lit. Let's go. Like, yo, the base salary was really good, really healthy, and it was going to put me in a really awesome position to, to just rebound and kind of really get things back on track financially after years of just taking hits because the business wasn't businessing the way I needed it to business, right? So I get all excited about Rochester because the position was to relocate, to relocate somewhere on the East Coast. And so then I didn't hear from them for a few days. So I started getting nervous. I'm like, all right, they're talking about relocating. I got all of this really good feedback about my interview, but then they say stay in Rochester, but now I'm not hearing from them. So I reached back out, and so I find out, hey, it seems like they're kind of second guessing me staying in Rochester, right? So after some back and forth time, it finally came like, hey, look, we tried to work out Rochester. We just simply can't do it. We can't do it. You're our guy. If you want to take the position, you're going to have to relocate and go to the original city. And there were some other things that happened in that process. There was a key person that I interviewed with who ended up leaving the company behind actually kind of the whole thing with my relocating because it was how they were kind of redoing territories, right? So, I thought about it and I sat on it for a day or two, and I just was like, you know what, leaving, it didn't feel as great to leave, after I had the whole idea of staying home, and I had kind of in my mind, I'd made all these plans on what I was doing, do this, I was going to do that. And I was like, man, that everything changes if I relocate. So anyway, I gracefully bowed out. Even before they didn't even give me an offer, I said, hey, look, don't bother giving me an offer. I'm just kind of feeling a little bit leery about the opportunity. I'm gonna go ahead and back out. So boom, I leave. My boy Chris, shout out to Chris. Chris was like, bro, he ain't say this, but I know he thought it. Like, man, you dumb. But anyway, he was disappointed, that I kind of backed off of it or whatever. And I kind of just went about my way and, was still looking at opportunities and looking for things and just trying to figure out, hey, what is this next move going to be? What is this next step going to be? So, I'm praying. I'm a man of faith. So I'm praying, I'm just trying to figure out, God, like, what does this look like? Because it felt like I was kind of getting to the end of all the bags of tricks that I had to kind of just make something shake when it came to making money. And so I want to say about a month and a half ish went by. And me and my boy Chris, we still talking. It's still my guy or whatever. But he reaches out to me. He's like, yo, the company's got some new cities opened up. You should take a look. So that's exactly what I did. I took a look. I went for one city immediately. Like once I was like, you know what, boom, that's the one. So I inquired, said, hey, look, I think I'm interested again. I'm back in the loop. And I want to, go and I want to compete to have, this market. So my supervisor, or who would be my supervisor, was like, you know what, bet, we like you, let it have you. Let me see what's going on. So he comes back to me. He's like, hey, we have someone kind of lined up for this market already, someone who already has experience, someone who's been in the industry. And so I think we're going to go that route, but there's some other stuff on the table. And so, I kind of looked what was out there, and, from that's how we got to DC. And so my wife and I, we talked about it, and we're like, what, let's go ahead and let's compete for this one. So long story shorter, reached out, said, hey, I want DC. I had a few more conversations with the leadership team. Thankfully, I didn't have to go through like the whole interview process again. It was more or less some informal, formal conversations, if you will. And then, I was, boom, back in the game. Finally got the offer letter. So the offer letter that had eluded me so greatly a few months prior, I got the offer. signed it, and yeah. So this week I'm here. Like, I'm not in market yet. I did some training down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm in Charlotte, and the experience has been fantastic. All of the people who are with the company, who have had experience in the industry, they're saying nothing but phenomenal things about working with this company. And then on top of that, there are some new hires who came from the industry from other companies who, when I saw the reactions that they had on their faces when they heard of our competitive edge and the advantages that we have because of our company, because of our technologies, like, you can't manufacture that. Like, their reaction to seeing some of the advantages we have, it was, I knew I was in the right spot. Like, I knew, like, hey, I'm here. So why am I taking my own advice, and why am I doing this? And I think this really will speak to, and this is why I made the video, right? Because I want to speak to parents. I want to, matter of fact, not even just, I want to speak to anybody, right? You could be 18, 17 watching this. You could be 37, 47. It doesn't matter. This is, so number one, I give all thanks to God, because for me, I believe that every good thing comes from God. But I also know, right, that preparation is key, right? You got to be prepared to be in some really great situations. So because of my skill set, right? Because of my skill set, the ability to build relationships, the ability to talk to people, right? And to converse with people, to go back and forth at a high level. Because of my ability to sell, all of these things, like, I was able to compete, and I got, with no experience in the industry, I was able to get the top level offer that they have financially, which was crazy. But then the commission structure, so that I got a really awesome base salary, but the commission structure will allow me to compete at a super, super high level and make some really awesome things happen for my family. And so, for us, where I spent, last 5 years, working diligently, but, not really seeing, the financial return that I plan to see. This is going to be a season where your boy is about to get to it. And I got to do this. I got to do this for my family, for my kids, so that I can give them the best life and the best opportunities. But if you're listening, if you've gotten all the way to this point in this video, right, the thing is that if you need to compete at a higher level, if you want to, if you desire to go further, faster, your communication skills are paramount. You want to be able to be the best communicator you can be, but then also you want to have real skills in communication, right? Like selling is communicate. That's all selling is how well can you communicate value, and can you communicate value well enough to where someone says, you know what, I trust you, I'm going to give you my business. Okay. Can you, and are you someone who can build relationships like out of nowhere? Can you be planted somewhere new, and then within a few weeks, days, start to establish the right relationships and connections to where you can make something shake, right? Like, these are all things that I've taught. Now I'm going to be my own coach. It's going to be Coach Dan coaching me. It's me versus me. And so, but no, I am going to document the journey. I got some really, really specific goals that I want to hit. I'm kind of working on my game plan and how I want to go about those goals, and just the strategy in order to efficiently get to those goals in the quickest timeline possible. So either way, I'm super excited. This is going to be a really awesome season. I'm excited to do this for my family. And for those of you who tuned in and who want to, stick around for the journey, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. You guys can like the video. If you got any comments, drop them in the comment section. I will do my best to respond to all of them. But this is the journey. This is the journey. Oh, last thing before I close out, key parts of the journey, and this is why it's kind of cool. So I am relocating to DC first. So I'm on my way in a couple of weeks. I'll be down there. My family's going to join me in a few months. So for me, a big part of this whole thing is I got about 3.5 to 4 months where I'm just all out massive action, because it's just me, and I don't have the family commitment, if you will, on a day-to-day basis. And so I gotta set the table. I gotta set the table so that way things can really work out beautifully. But yeah, I think I'm ready to end this video there. We got 15 minutes on the clock. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. God bless all of you guys. And you already know, man, it's Best Bet Dan. And I'm always talking about the skills that will give you the best bet to create the life of your dreams. I'm out. Peace.